Ever thought, I'll just bump up the temperature for my discus? The plants will be fine? Yeah, I've been there too. At first, it actually feels like you fixed something. Growth speeds up, colors pop, and you think, okay, this is finally working. But here's the truth. A few weeks later, those exact same plants aren't just struggling. They are melting into a mushy, translucent mess. Most people blame the heat, but the heat isn't the killer. You just built the tank for the wrong type of plants. Today, I'm counting down 10 aquarium plants that won't melt in warm water. The ones actually built for the heat. Stick around, because number 1 is a heavyweight champion that will absolutely take over your tank if you do one simple thing right. And hey, if you love no-fluff aquarium advice with a few hard-learned lessons, hit subscribe so you don't make the same mistakes I did. Number 10. Water Wisteria. Fast, leafy, and adaptable. Water Wisteria is like the sports car of the aquarium. It grows incredibly fast and handles warm water like a champ. But only if your system can keep up with it, because fast growth needs fuel. Warm water holds less carbon dioxide while the plant is trying to grow faster at the exact same time. So demand goes up, supply goes down. People think it's growing fast, so it must be healthy. Nope. In a warm tank, if you don't provide enough nutrients, it doesn't just slow down, it crashes and melts overnight. Number 9. Dwarf Sag. Don't let the basic look fool you. Dwarf Sag is the ultimate survivor. It feeds from the roots, stays low, and doesn't demand much energy. This isn't a flashy performance plant. It's your tank's insurance policy. Root feeders are more stable in warm tanks because the substrate doesn't lose resources the same way the water column does. Plant it deep in a good substrate and forget about it. It loves warm dirt. Number 8. Ludwigia Repens. The drama queen of the warm water tank. Ludwigia sits right on the edge. It can handle high temperatures perfectly fine, but only when everything else is stable. This plant depends more on water column balance. So, when nutrients or carbon dioxide fluctuate in warm water, it reacts immediately. I once missed a fertilizer dose during a summer heat wave. My Ludwigia dropped half its leaves in 48 hours, like it was personally offended. It's not weak, it just exposes problems early. Number 7. Hygrophila. Hygrophila isn't just a plant, it's the check engine light of your aquarium. If this plant is struggling, you're not looking at a plant problem anymore. Fast growers amplify instability. In warm water, they're the first to show stress because they burn through resources faster than anything else. It's basically that one friend who notices things are going wrong before anyone else does. Number 6. Bacopa. Looks fragile, but built like a tank. Bacopa survives because it's highly flexible. It can pull nutrients from both the substrate and the water column. That dual feeding strategy gives it a buffer when warm water starts limiting dissolved gases. When things go wrong, it doesn't melt immediately. It just gets leggy and stretches toward the light. That stretch isn't growth, that's survival mode. Now, here's the part most people don't realize. At this point, your tank already made a decision. Some plants are adapting, and some are just delaying the collapse. Number 5. Vallisneria. The aquatic weed. Vallisneria grows fast, but unlike most fast growers, it feeds heavily from its runners in the substrate. So, Even when the warm water column starts lacking carbon dioxide, this plant keeps pushing new leaves. It works because it's partially decoupled from the unstable water column, but it still needs consistency. Combine heat with fluctuating water parameters, and it can crash. Keep your water changes consistent, and this plant will create an underwater jungle. If you're still watching at this point, you're probably starting to see the pattern. The plants that are still doing okay aren't random. And yeah, when this plant crashes in warm water, it doesn't go quietly. It turns your tank into a salad disaster overnight. Number 4. Java Fern. The bulletproof vest of the planted tank. It doesn't depend on substrate, and it doesn't demand much from the water either. Low-demand plants survive because they don't try to keep up with the system when resources drop. Just bury it in the gravel to keep it down. Do that in an 85-degree tank, and the rhizome won't just struggle, it will rot into pure sludge. Number 3. Anubias. The Zen Master. Anubias survives by flat-out refusing to play the game. It grows slowly, uses minimal energy, and doesn't panic when the water gets hot. Low metabolism equals lower dependency on oxygen and carbon dioxide, which is exactly why it survives when faster plants collapse. I kept an Anubias in a Discus tank at 86 degrees for 3 years. Barely grew. Never melted. Number 2. Cryptocoryne. Crypts don't try to keep up with a hot system. They slow down and outlast it. They rely almost entirely on the substrate, which stays stable, even when the water becomes less efficient. My crypt melted, so it's dead. Wrong. That melt is adaptation, not failure. Number 1. Amazon sword. The final boss of warm water plants. The Amazon sword isn't surviving because it's tough. It survives because it completely ignores the part of your tank that is failing. It feeds heavily from the substrate where nutrient availability stays consistent even when the water column collapses. The biggest mistake? Treating it like a water column feeder. Feed the roots, and it becomes a monster. Now, when you step back and look at this list, a pattern becomes very clear. The plants that survive aren't just stronger. They either use less energy, pull from more stable sources, or avoid depending on what the water can no longer provide. And the plants that fail? They rely too heavily on a system that heat has already pushed to its limits. Before we get into the final part, there's one thing you need to understand. Because this is where most people keep repeating the same mistake. In warm tanks, plants are not just living in hotter water. They are operating in a completely different system. Warm water holds less oxygen, less carbon dioxide, but your plants, they're actually trying to grow faster. So, what you get is a mismatch. Higher demand, lower supply. And here's the dangerous part. At first, everything looks fine. Growth even speeds up. But that's not stability. That's acceleration before failure. By the time you notice melting, the system has already shifted. Bonus: the heat myth. Here's the thing most people completely miss. Heat doesn't kill your plants directly. That's why copying plant lists never works long-term, because lists don't explain systems. It changes the rules of the system, and that's when things start to collapse. So, instead of asking, will this plant survive heat? Ask this: is this plant built for a low-resource system? If your tank runs hot, here's the simple rule. Pick plants that feed from the substrate, Avoid high-demand stem plants early and don't chase fast growth. Stability beats speed every time. So, what about you? What's one easy plant that everyone swore would work but completely melted on you? Drop it in the comments. I guarantee you're not the only one. And if you want to avoid another setup mistake like this, check out the next video. Until next time, keep your tanks balanced, your glass spotless, and your curiosity flowing.